So what does it really mean to have a project in development? Well, in today's video, I'm going to explain to you the 3 basic phases of the development process, and then in the end tell you about a place where development doesn't even exist. Hey there, and welcome back to Surviving Animation, your guide to making it in the business of cartoons. And today's episode is about the general development process. Now, I've spent the majority of my career in the development world, and actually development is something that I do basically every day as part of my job. So what is development? Well, to begin with, development is the process that begins the moment a buyer says, hey, I'm interested in your work, and ends at the moment when they say, great, let's go ahead and make this whole series. Now, that entire ride can be a very tricky process, but it typically follows some pretty familiar patterns, so let's get into it. Like any major business transaction, nothing happens in development until a deal is signed. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give you specifics about what kind of deals are good and bad, but let me just give you these 2 pieces of advice. First of all, definitely get a lawyer. Now, preferably get a lawyer who has pre-existing experience and maybe even a pre-existing relationship with a specific network you're working with. But remember, whatever deals that they offer, your lawyer is going to be the expert on whether that's good or bad, and don't take it personally. A lot of those deals are boilerplate and they can be negotiated and there is some flexibility, but usually it's not specifically about you, and your lawyer will know the situation and when you can move things around. Secondly, during the business negotiation period, be patient. These things just take a long time. They can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to just close your average deal. So wait it out, stay calm, and get ready for the next step. Now that the deal is signed, you're ready for the creation of the development materials. Now remember, the point of these materials is to give that network or that distributor a complete idea of what your show is about. Now these deliverables are pretty consistent across the board. They're going to be a Bible, a set of design work, whether that be characters or environments, but anything visual to give the network an idea of exactly what they're going to see when the show is made. And then they're going to usually commission a script and or episode synopses. Now, if your show or series is shorts, let's say 5 minutes or 11 minutes, they may commission 2 scripts. But if it's a longer form or if it's a half-hour show, more typically they'll actually just get 1 big script followed by a bunch of episode synopses of the half-hour length. Now, in the best situation, on top of all those deliverables, you'll also be asked to make an animatic or a fully animated pilot. Just like with the legal negotiation period, you got to be really patient with this part of the production. It can take anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half. And that seems like an incredibly long amount of time. But you'll find as you go back and forth on every stage, as you give notes back and forth, that time will actually hopefully go pretty quickly. Now that your work is all done, the process isn't actually over. Now the network itself has to go into a testing phase. In the traditional network environment, a test is usually like a focus group where they actually bring the fully animated pilot into a closed door room where they have a sample audience behind a one-way mirror, look at your pilot, and give their feedback directly to some kind of moderator. This is usually followed by like questions and answers, or possibly inquiries of what they liked and what they didn't like, or in some cases, the moderator may even read some of the episode synopses, and then the people in the room will actually give feedback on whether they liked it or not. Now, that's the very old school focus group way of testing pilots for a green light. More recently, companies like Nickelodeon and Amazon and Cartoon Hangover and Cartoon Network have actual pilot programs where their finished works actually appear online as part of their company streaming platform, where audiences can directly look at some of that work and decide if they like it or not. This was really in vogue for a while, but I feel like it's also kind of going out simply because of the fact that if audiences actually like a show, there's an enormous time gap between that pilot testing well in an online platform and then actually coming out. So there's a little bit of an audience dissonance there where they say, I love it, I want to see more. And then the large company has to say, we're glad you like it, but wait 2 years. Either way, the final stage is actually the testing of that material to decide if audiences like it and if the company likes it, and they're going to decide whether or not the show is made. So it takes all of this to get through the development process. There's the deal making side, then there's the creation of the materials, then it's followed by this testing, and sometimes easily years can go by. So There are many people who say, gosh, development is just terrible. It's a horrible place to be. It takes forever. It sucks your life away. And there are situations where I agree with that, but I do think development is good for a certain kind of person. Now, who are the people that development is really good for? Let's list those up. I think development is really good if you are already in the system. So let's say you work at DreamWorks or you work at Nickelodeon or you work at Warner Brothers and you're already a staff artist there in the pits actually creating the shows that are on the air. You have a great chance in those places to get series greenlit. I mean, you have a proven track record. People there hopefully already like you and know your work. So there's a lot less risk in using someone in-house to make a show rather than taking a risk on someone out of house. To be realistic, if you look at, for example, Cartoon Network's latest slate of programs, 3 out of 5 of those were created by people that they nurtured from the inside. So they had an internal pilot program, they had an internal testing process, and then those internal people made those shows. That may not sound great when you hear that, especially if you're an outside animator or producer, but actually I don't think it's that bad an idea. So if I'm the network and I already have this staff who I really like working with, that staff really understands intrinsically what works on my network because they're there every day. And to be honest, the people who got those jobs got them because they have incredible talent, they have really strong portfolios, and they have shown through consistency and persistence that they're professionals. It's actually not a bad bet. So I know it sounds strange, but if you work within the system, development is great for you. Another type of person or a company that is good for development are actually animation studios. So whether you're a small boutique of 3 or 4 people, or you're a 10 to 15 size person company, or maybe you're a 50 or 75 or 100 person company that maybe not even be based in the US, development is a great platform for you because in a way it gives you a chance to expand your relationship with a network you might already have a service production relationship with, and it's actually a chance for you to meet different kinds of executives since production executives are usually different than the development executives, and it's a chance to get paid to actually show what you can do in terms of an original idea. So I would definitely promote independent animation studios getting into the development process at least once or twice to see if it works and to roll those dice. The last person I think development is really good for is for people outside of the industry. So if you're an author, maybe you're a comic book writer, or you're a small toy manufacturer, development is a perfect way to test your waters into the expansion of your intellectual property. So that's really what it's about. I mean, if you're a comic creator, having a cartoon based on your graphic novel is not an easy thing. But the development process is a way to have it happen in the background, to take baby steps into that process, and again, to build relations with the people who you may be making cartoons with in the future. Who is development not good for? Well, I think of 2 specific cases. The first one actually is people who don't like collaboration. Now, that's just a simple fact. There are a lot of great artists and writers and intellectual property creators out there who would rather work alone and do their own works. And I deeply respect them, and I think that they should continue to do that. Maybe development is just not the right thing for you because it is a highly collaborative and communicative environment. And if you don't like getting notes from people, if you don't like going to a ton of meetings, if you don't like waiting and having other people write your stuff, development might not be for you. So just be aware that it is a hard process, and it's okay to just do your own thing. And there are shows that are greenlit simply by people making their own shows and getting noticed and getting picked up. It's a bit more rare, but it doesn't mean that development is the only way to go. The last type of person, or should I say place, where development just doesn't matter is actually Japan. Now, I spent about 15 years of my career in Japan working with a lot of anime studios, and I have never seen any deep development process in the world of anime. So there aren't any big networks commissioning pilots. There is no script development program. The way that their entire TV networks work is kind of upside down than the US networks, and I could take a whole nother video to describe how Japanese TV networks work, but there's simply no development there. And if you ask why, it's because they actually have the best, largest organic development ecosystem in the world, and that's called manga. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that little talk about the development process. If you'd like to talk to me more about development or about cartoons in general, please leave me a comment below, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.